Have you ever thought of paying a tax when you were in your childhood? Nah, you really weren't rich enough. But Warren Buffett was. In 1944, when he was 14 years old, Buffett paid a tax of $7. He earned $592.50 in an income that year, and his net worth was $20,000 at just 21. How did he achieve this? What's the secret? We will discover how Warren Buffett outperformed the stock market and amassed a fortune through his investments. Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors in the world. He's got a net worth of over $100 billion. Buffett didn't originate from a low-income family from a little Nebraska town, but he earned what he has in life by working hard. Howard Homan Buffett, Buffett's father, was an Omaha stockbroker and four-term Republican congressman. When he purchased a six-pack of Cokes for $0.25 and sold each one for a nickel, earning a 20% profit, the clever youngster was already working toward his first $1 million by the age of 6. He was already working at his father's company before he was a teenager, marking prices on the board in the meeting room while also taking part-time classes in technical analysis of the market. The family moved to Washington after his father's first stint in office, first settling in the nearby city of Fredericksburg. Warren, a proud Midwesterner, never adjusted well to Washington, and as a result, his junior high school grades were appalling. However, his proclivity for making money was only beginning to develop. In the beginning, it was golf balls, as in finding the tiny white objects stranded in the brush abutting a nearby golf course, then selling them. By fusing the Washington Times-Herald into the Washington Post, he ran not one, but 2 newspaper routes, distributing approximately 500 copies of both publications each day. His success as an investor would be greatly influenced by newspaper, notably the Post. Buffett was a savvy businessman who marketed magazine subscriptions along with newspaper subscriptions to his customers. He also released stable boy selections, a tip sheet that handicapped horse races, and displayed early signs of his mathematical prowess. As if that weren't enough to keep Buffett occupied, as a 15-year-old student at Woodrow Wilson High School, Buffett discovered the appeal of franchising. Together with a classmate, Buffett pooled their funds to buy a $25 pinball machine, which they then installed in a barbershop where they frequently congregated. The youngsters removed the quarters after a day and were shocked to see at least $4 in quarters when they rifled the machine. Excited, they installed pinball machines in additional barbershops, and after some time, they began to make $50 every week. Also, for $350, they bought a 1934 Rolls-Royce, which they then rented out for $35 per day. Buffett had made over $10,000 from his numerous businesses while still a high school student, which was a significant chunk of money in the 1940s. He spent a few years at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania after being turned down for admission to Harvard, and then he transferred back to the University of Nebraska, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in 1950. When Benjamin Graham released his best-selling book in 1949, it had the most significant impact on Warren Buffett's successful career. The book was The Intelligent Investor. At the age of 19, he read the first edition of the book in the beginning of 1950. In his opinion, at the time, the absolute best book on investing ever written. A high IQ, uncommon business insight, or insider knowledge are not necessary for lifetime investment success. The ability to prevent emotions from corroding a strong logical foundation for decision-making is necessary. He claims the book lays out the ideal foundation in exacting detail. Buffett traveled to New York City to study under Graham and David Dodd at Columbia University. When Graham's investment company denied Buffett's offer to work there for free, he returned to Omaha to work for his father's business. Buffett earned his MBA in 1951, till Graham employed him as an analyst. He remained in touch with Graham and persisted in offering his stock suggestions. He spent 2 years in the position before permanently moving back to Omaha. The 21-year-old would-be money manager published a tiny advertisement in the Omaha newspaper inviting readers to a seminar on investing. He reasoned that doing so would help him become more accustomed to performing in front of crowds. He made the decision to spend $100 on a public speaking course because he was terrified of speaking in front of others. Years later, he gives talks effortlessly, working solely from an outline he creates in his head and without the use of written notes. At the age of 25, Buffett founded the Buffett Partnership, a $100,000 private investment company. He put $5,000 into the company itself and served as its general partner, administrating it on behalf of 7 other investors who were limited partners but had no voting rights. According to the agreement, Buffett would receive 25% of the earnings, which he would reinvest in the company. while investors would receive an annual return of 6% plus 75% of the revenues. Family relatives served as his early backers. Investors had to have a lot of faith in Buffett because he operated out of a little office in his home and kept his activities a secret. Buffett didn't want his investors bombarding him with phone calls and letters commenting on his selections and urging him to purchase additional stocks. He expanded the Buffett partnership in 1965 by acquiring Berkshire Hathaway, a textile business in New Bedford. Despite the low cost of purchase, the American textile sector was in decline. The Berkshire investment lost money even though Buffett's overall portfolio was doing well. The textile company was one of Buffett's worst bets. Buffett initiated a series of investments, takeovers, and restructuring maneuvers after making an investment in and then acquiring control of Berkshire Hathaway, which saw its assets grow rapidly. Additionally, he enhanced his standing as a successful investor. All he touches seems to turn to gold. He was skilled at buying shares in egregiously undervalued businesses and riding the rise in those businesses' fortunes to ever-increased profits. His company's shares were valued at $1,310 at the end of 1979, when trading had started at a price of $775 per share. He had acquired the moniker Oracle of Omaha by the early 1980s and was worth $620 million. Buffett bought stocks in a variety of companies, most notably Coca-Cola, the Washington Post, Capital Cities, and Salomon Brothers. He had shares of his firm, Berkshire Hathaway, valued at $7,175 each by 1990, making him a billionaire. Due to his extraordinary track record of success, Buffett has been able to reward Berkshire shareholders as well as himself with an average annual return of over 30% since 1965. He's also consistently outperformed the Standard & Poor's 500 index since 1981. And has generated profits even in the years of 1973 and 1974, when the stock market was suffering due to a severe economic recession in the United States. Buffett made the decision to avoid it and telecom companies in the late 1990s when the whole investment community was moving in that direction. He reasoned that technology was too complicated for him to understand, thus he would be better off avoiding it. Similar to this, he avoids banks and the financial sector throughout the subprime crisis. Only long-term holding companies are the only ones in which Warren invests. He is the embodiment of long-term investing and disapproves of day trading. Buffett has continued to live a humble lifestyle and uphold the Midwestern ideals, along with an open-minded and kind personality, despite the success that has been celebrated. Due to his 18% ownership stake in Berkshire Hathaway, Buffett has amassed substantial wealth. The share price of Berkshire rose by 20.8% on average between 1965 and 2016. In terms of the corporation, Buffett has close to 300,000 Class A shares and close to 150 Class B shares. Additionally, he holds nearly 900,000 shares of U.S. Bancorp, 9,000 additional shares of IBM, and more than 2 million shares of Wells Fargo and Seritage Growth Properties. Even with all those investments, his Berkshire Hathaway share accounts for more than 98% of his total net worth. When he was 21, Buffett had $20,000. At the age of 30, he earned his first $1 million. Buffett had a $7 million net worth 5 years later, when he was 35 years old. He had $25 million when he was 39, $67 million net worth at the age of 47, and $1.4 billion when he was 56 years old. And at that point, his wealth really started to grow. Buffett had a net worth of $17 billion when he was 66 years old. They had grown to more than $36 billion by the age of 72. Buffett increased his already sizable fortune by $12 billion in 2016. And now, he has a net worth of over $100 billion. Buffett believes that it is best to begin investing in stocks as soon as possible. The time factor in investing has been extended by this. The longer time you have to make returns from investing in stocks, the better. And the more time you have, the greater profits your investments will generate. The power of compounding refers to this and applies to stocks perfectly. And that's the secret you can try.